How well has every team performed in the first 7 matches of the Premier League? In this video, I'll be rating every Premier League team on their start of the season. So in alphabetical order, we start off with Arsenal, and for them we're going to use the sponsor of this video, OneFootball, to take a look at how they have started. So they began the season with 3 losses back to back against Brentford, Chelsea and Manchester City. After 3 losses in a row, they bounced back with 3 wins in a row against Norwich, Burnley and Tottenham. With OneFootball, we can look at their average stats per match. What we can see here is 0.7 goals scored but 1.4 goals conceded per match. And we can also see in the league table right now, after their 7 matches played, they are 11th in the table with a -5 goal difference. With Arsenal's record this season, 3 wins and 3 losses, it'd make it a 5 out of 10, but I'll give them a 6 out of 10 because it feels like they're heading in the right direction. With OneFootball, you can keep up to date with the latest news and also browse stats from the top leagues around the world. So to access that for yourself, you can download OneFootball on your phone by clicking the link in the description. Next up is Aston Villa, who have the same record as Arsenal with 3 wins, 1 draw and 3 losses. Danny Ings has looked good with 2 goals and 2 assists. Leon Bailey looked good too, so their new signings have shown promise, and they've been playing with a back 5 to fit Watkins and Ings in the same team. Is yet to show it can be a long-term change for Villa, but it has earned them wins against Everton and Manchester United. So I'll be giving out another 6 out of 10. It's a decent start, but there's more to see from the new signings and if this formation can work long-term. As a newly promoted team, Brentford are 7th at the moment with 3 wins, 3 draws and 1 loss, with 10 goals scored and just 6 goals conceded. They scored a last-minute winner in their last match against West Ham United, showing that fight up until the very end of the match to get the 3 points. I feel like I always knew that when they got promoted, they could come up to the Premier League and start doing well, and well, they had to prove that, and they have done. They're looking like a really good addition to the Premier League this season with the entertainment that they bring, and they've done really well with their performances in the opening 7 matches. So for a newly promoted team, I don't think it can really go much better than this. I'm going to give Brentford a 10 out of 10. At Brighton, it's been a great start for Graham Potter's side, getting results they deserve, which is a change by being more clinical in front of goal, and they've also maintained their defensive improvement from last season, which has seen them rise up the league table. They've had 2 draws in the last 2 matches where they couldn't quite break through Crystal Palace until the very end when they got a draw, and that was followed by a 0-0 draw with Arsenal. 5 goals conceded is very good from Brighton, so I'll give them a 9 out of 10 for their start. They're a very entertaining team that are also doing well. With Burnley, you always seem to say they're doing bad, but they'll come good eventually and get points, which is probably still the case. Maxwell Cornet definitely gives them something different, and that might be the extra quality in attack they need to score more goals with only 5 scored so far. They're still looking for their first win. It might be a harder season for Burnley, and I'll give them a 3 out of 10 for their start of the season. Chelsea sit top of the league right now, but haven't been as brilliant in their last 3 matches, including the Champions League. But 5 wins, 1 draw and 1 loss in the league with just 3 goals conceded is great overall, and Romelu Lukaku has been a success. My rating could have been higher if it wasn't for their little blip. They've gone on to similar points as the rest of the top 4, so I'll give them an 8 out of 10. Before the start of the season, there were doubts over Palace and Vieira, but he's shown that he can get Palace playing in a way where they look good and can get results. Just 1 win so far in 7 matches, but where they proved their quality was coming back against Leicester City to draw 2-2. Maybe last season that could have been a loss, but they've gone more attacking and shown that they can come back. They've still got more to prove to turn those draws into wins, so I'll give them a 6.5 out of 10. When Rafa Benitez went to Everton, there was a lot of talk about whether this was the right appointment, and it was definitely a weird one with his background being at Liverpool. However, in 7 matches so far, they've only lost once and have looked good in most of their matches. Plus, they've been without Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison for quite a few matches, but Damari Gray and Townsend have stepped up. They've started really well in comparison to what was being said before the start of the season, so I'll give them an 8.5 out of 10. For Leeds United, it's been a little disappointing. They sit 16th in the table with just 1 win in their 7 matches so far. From what we have seen though, Rafinha still looks like the same player from last season. He looks really good. A little concerning for Patrick Bamford with just 1 goal scored so far, and their defence hasn't really been good at all with 14 goals conceded. We knew this from last season, but it's been much more evident now. So for that reason and their position in the league right now, I'll be giving Leeds a 4 out of 10. For Leicester City, the start to their season has been a total contrast to what we've seen previously in the last couple of seasons. They currently sit 13th in the league and have only kept one clean sheet so far in the Premier League, and that was against Wolves in the opening match of the season. That defensive record will definitely be a concern for them, with 2 goals conceded in each of their last 3 Premier League matches. I feel like good results will just be around the corner for Leicester, so I'll give them a 5 out of 10 for now. Liverpool are the only Premier League team in their opening 7 matches not to lose so far. They've won 4 and drawn 3. I'd say that most people before the season started saw Chelsea, City and United as more likely teams to win the league than Liverpool. However, they have shown that they're not that far behind at all, and they will be in the title race. They will compete near the top. Salah is still the same ridiculously good player. Van Dijk is still solid at the back, so Liverpool, there's not really much that has changed. Maybe they're not really outsiders in the title race after all. I'm going to give them an 8 out of 10 for their start. Manchester City, along with Chelsea, have the best defensive record in the league so far, with just the 3 goals conceded. However, they've scored 1 goal less than Chelsea with 14. With 4 wins, 2 draws and 1 loss, it puts them level with Manchester United, Everton and Brighton. I think the whole striker situation at Man City is talked about a little too much. Like, they're completely fine without a proper striker. They're going to continue to score goals because that's just what they do. For their rating, I'm going to go a 7 out of 10. They have been a little bit off the pace, and we know that they can be better. For Manchester United, with all the criticism around them at the moment, they are on 14 points, and like I say, that's the same as Man City, Everton and Brighton. They're 1 point off Liverpool, they're 2 points off Chelsea. By the next match, they could be top of the league. But it is clear that their performances haven't been good enough. If they continue that way, then they won't be as close to the other teams. So I will give them the lowest score out of those top 4 teams. I'm going to give them a 6.5 out of 10. For Newcastle United, it's very interesting what's happening with them right now. They currently sit 19th without a win, 3 draws and 4 losses, so the start of the season hasn't been good at all. But it's been made a lot better with the takeover that has happened, and maybe that will change their fortunes this season and they can escape the relegation zone. But with 16 goals conceded this season, that is the same as Norwich, and that is the most in the league. The start to Newcastle United's season has also been the ending. I'm going to give them a 3 out of 10, and I don't think it'll be long until performances change. The board won't take long in making a change. Norwich City did get their first point on the board in their last match with a draw, but with 2 goals scored and 16 goals conceded, start to the seasons don't get much worse than this. It seems like so much needs to change with Norwich if they are to survive in the Premier League this season, and I can't really see that happening. I just can't imagine it. So with 1 point on the board and only 1 match where they haven't lost this season, I think it makes sense to give Norwich a 1 out of 10. For Southampton, it's a worrying start without a win in their first 7 matches, 4 draws and 3 losses, and if a win doesn't come soon, then I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a managerial change at Southampton. We saw some big players leave in the summer, and we didn't really know how the Saints would cope without those players, but now we can really see. They sit 17th in the Premier League table. They could be doing a lot better, and for that reason, I'm going to give them a 2 out of 10. With Tottenham under their new manager, Nuno Espirito Santo, it's difficult to know where they are really at. They won in their last match 2-1 against Aston Villa, but previous to that, they lost 3 matches in a row to Arsenal, Chelsea, Crystal Palace, and then previous to that, they won 2 matches back-to-back 1-0 against Watford and Wolves. And their form has been very mid-table in the opening 7 matches. They've only scored 6 goals so far on a -4 goal difference. You don't really know what to expect when going into their matches. They're very 50-50, so I'm going to give them a 5 out of 10. At Watford, it didn't really seem like they started off too badly. In 15th place, they've won 2 matches and drawn 1 in their opening 7. However, they have sacked their manager. It seemed like the sacking was based on the quality of their performances, and the board could really see what direction they were going in, and that was downwards. With Claudio Ranieri coming into Watford, it's going to be really interesting, and I'm quite excited to see how they do with him. But for where they are right now, 15th in the league, not in the relegation zone and 4 points away from it, I'm going to give them a 6.5 out of 10. At West Ham, it's been more of the same. Good performances as we saw last season, and they've won 3 and drawn 2 in their opening 7. It's quite ridiculous how good Mikel Antonio looks for West Ham United. They've also had Said Benrahma step up this season, and he's looked good. And they've shown that they weren't just here for 1 season to compete around those European places. They will be thereabouts again. They're always good to watch. There's a lot of players in the team that I do like watching, and I'm going to give them an 8 out of 10 for their start. Wolves under their new manager Bruno Lage are another team that have very mid-table form at the moment. However, they have won their last 2 matches against Newcastle and Southampton. The partnership of Raul Jimenez and Hwang Hee-chan looks really good in the last match against Newcastle, so maybe that will continue and that is how they score many goals this season. I'd say those wins in the last 2 matches, back-to-back wins, have given me a little bit more optimism about them, so for that reason I am going to give them a 6 out of 10. Once again, they're heading in the right direction. Let me know your Premier League team ratings in the comments below. If you did enjoy the video, then please click the like button, it massively helps the videos getting found, and for more insight and analysis, subscribe to Route 1.